Jesse, the house has been sold.
Everyone says Jesse ruined his own life. But what if his parents' cold perfectionism did more damage than the drugs ever did? Breaking Bad delights in presenting morality as a tangle of contradictions, and few relationships in the show embody that as well as the tragic standoff between Jesse Pinkman and his parents.
You show so much promise with both.
They say they can't have any switching between woodwinds because no matter how they divide it up, someone would be left out.
On the surface, Mr. and Mrs. Pinkman look like the very picture of suburban decency. Polished, proper, vaguely sterile. The type of people who display piano trophies in glass cabinets and insist the lawn be cut to regulation height.
Do we let him stay?
They are not abusive, not neglectful, and never once do they appear cartoonishly cruel. But peel back the veneer, and what we really see is the awkward collision between parental duty and sheer exhaustion.
The government can take the entire house.
Were they right to throw Jesse out? Of course they were. If by right we mean rational adults finally recognizing that harboring a meth cook under their roof is not a sustainable housing plan. At the point we meet them, Jesse has already burned through his second, third, and fourth chances.
Pursuant to Section 47-8-13 of the New Mexico Real Property Code,
He's stolen from them, lied to them, and, minor detail, converted his aunt's home into a full-fledged drug lab.
So your aunt owns this place, right?
I own it.
Parents who fail to evict under those circumstances aren't noble martyrs. They're accomplices waiting to be subpoenaed. And yet, there's a hollowness to the Pinkmans' righteousness. For all their stern speeches and crisp boundary setting,
Jesse, the house has been sold.
it's hard to ignore that they seem far more concerned with image than with understanding their son. Their interactions drip with a subtle but unmistakable coldness. The sort of, we love you but please don't get it on the carpet affection that reduces family bonds to PR campaigns. Yes, Jesse is deeply responsible for his own ruin.
What about Mr. Pemberton? Is he giving you enough individual attention?
But it's also clear that the Pinkman household was a place where high expectations thrived and genuine warmth was in shorter supply.
I just don't know what to tell Jake.
Take younger brother Jake, for example. The golden child, groomed with obsessive oversight, buried under music lessons and academic expectations, all while Jesse is cast as the family's perpetual disappointment. Jake's inevitable dabbling with weed is less shocking than it is predictable, a minor act of rebellion from the boy appointed to be the good son. His parents, of course, see it only as further proof that they must clamp down harder. It's a dynamic familiar in many families. One child pushed into rebellion by suffocating standards, the other crushed under the weight of compensating for it. Some defenders argue that Jesse was 24 when the series begins, and at some point, adults must take responsibility for their own choices. Fair enough. No one needs a parental chaperone to figure out that cooking meth is not a viable career plan. But the "he was an adult" argument neatly sidesteps the years leading up to that point.
He taught your son chemistry in high school.
Jesse's trajectory didn't begin in his mid-20s. It began in high school, where his failures were met not with compassion or recalibration, but with relentless pressure to do better without the scaffolding of support.
I think we should check his arms for needle marks.
By the time he reached adulthood, he was a fully baked black sheep, well-trained in disappointing his family, and well aware of their low expectations. The irony is that Jesse, despite his immaturity, does occasionally seek connection with his parents.
Time's dinner.
In about an hour.
His halting suggestion of dinner, his brief attempts at reconciling, all met with polite dismissal. The father's tepid, someday, maybe, might as well have been, not in this lifetime. This is the cruelty of the Pinkmans. Not violent rejection, but the kind of suburban frostiness that kills hope in slow, suffocating increments. They are not villains, but neither are they saints. They are tired, embarrassed, and protective of their younger child to a fault, more concerned with sealing off the infection than curing the wound. Defenders point to the meth lab in the aunt's house as proof that the parents were justified in cutting him off. And they're correct. No sane parent would tolerate that. Yet the situation also exposes their transactional approach to family. Aunt Ginny, the one person who seemed to accept Jesse unconditionally, left the house to him, recognizing the care he gave her in her illness. The Pinkmans swept in, erased his contribution, and inherited the property.
Jesse, it's really not a good time.
Later, when Jesse buys it back at half the asking price, it plays not as a triumph of capitalism, but as karmic payback. For once, the screw-up gets the last laugh, and the good parents look like opportunists caught in their own hypocrisy. Some insist the Pinkmans are blameless, that no amount of parental love can cure addiction. And they're right. Addiction is merciless, and Jesse would likely have found trouble no matter what. But to call them blameless is to oversimplify. Their brand of parenting, the conform or die approach,
Breaking even's not so bad. In this economy, a lot of people...
the relentless pursuit of appearances, the obsessive control of Jake's future, contributed to the very alienation that made Jesse so vulnerable to drugs and to manipulative figures like Walter White. They may not have created his addiction, but they certainly curated the conditions in which it thrived. At the same time, let's not canonize Jesse into a misunderstood martyr.
What happened is you're a speed manufacturer.
He was, in fact, a criminal. A sympathetic one, yes, but also a thief, a liar, and a man who would casually squander another's savings on strippers. His family's weariness was not baseless paranoia. It was the product of years of manipulation, broken promises, and escalating chaos. They had, most likely, bailed him out of jail, endured endless cycles of "I'll do better," and finally reached the point where enabling him was indistinguishable from self-destruction. So were Jesse's parents right? Strictly speaking, yes. But being right in this context is not the same as being good. They drew the line, protected their younger child, and safeguarded their home. They also projected coldness, prioritized appearances, and failed to meet their son where he truly was. Their choices were understandable, but they were not noble.
You have 2 sets of keys and the padlock to the garage.
They are best described as tragic pragmatists, people who did what they had to do, but in a way that left everyone hollow. The show itself seems to side with this interpretation. In El Camino, Jesse himself absolves them, acknowledging that his downfall was his own fault.
A DEA agent.
And yet, when his parents finally do the right thing by handing his location to the feds, it's exactly what Jesse expects. Their relationship had calcified into a script. He disappoints, they punish, and no one dares to rewrite it. In the end, the Pinkmans embody a paradox. They are both sympathetic and frustrating, justified and cold, protective and performative. They loved their son, but in the way one loves a chronic embarrassment, deeply, but with hands clenched tight, always ready to push him away when he strayed outside the narrow bounds of acceptability. Jesse may have destroyed his life through his own choices, but his parents' relentless emphasis on optics over empathy ensured that when he needed guidance most, all he found was a closed door. So yes, Jesse's parents were right, but they were also small, stiff, and cold. And if there's anything more heartbreaking than watching a son collapse under addiction, it's watching parents mistake emotional distance for moral clarity while it happens. If Jesse actually looked like a real meth addict, you wouldn't have liked him. Rewatching Breaking Bad with a critical eye raises an oddly persistent question. Why do Jesse Pinkman and his ragtag circle of misfits look so normal? For a group of supposed meth addicts, their skin is remarkably intact, their teeth suspiciously white.
Yo, you want to go shopping? Go do it yourself, all right? I got plans.
Smoking marijuana.
And their general demeanor far more college dropout with a hangover than walking PSA on substance abuse. The answer lies somewhere between narrative strategy, casting choices, and the inconvenient truth that real-life drug users often don't resemble the caricatures television has trained audiences to expect. First, there's the matter of degree. Jesse, Badger, Combo, and even the perpetually gaunt Skinny Pete do not present as full-throttle addicts.
Man, I gotta
Try this.
They behave more like recreational users, dipping into meth the way some dip into beer or weed. They show up at Jesse's house not as shivering husks begging for a fix, but more like stoners hoping for a hookup. The show suggests that they've not yet surrendered fully to dependency.
I'm Jesse.
Well, hello?
Pete, Badger, and Combo can apparently go stretches without using.
Jesse, what's going on with you these days?
And Jesse himself cycles through attempts at sobriety.
Back when everyone thought you killed Spooge, maybe we were doing okay.
In other words, this isn't Spooge and his feral wife. This is the junior varsity squad of drug culture.
He just goes by Heisenberg.
Second, they are young. Drug abuse ravages over time, and the physical toll of methamphetamine is cumulative. A decade or two of daily use will hollow cheeks, rot teeth, and carve tracks into skin. A year or two of on and off indulgence may still leave someone looking presentable, particularly if that someone is a television actor who, unlike a true addict, brushes his teeth, eats occasionally, and receives makeup touch-ups between takes. It may disappoint viewers who expected a cast of human scabs, but biology simply doesn't move that fast unless the user is catastrophically neglectful. Third, the stereotype of the crackhead look is misleading.
Step 1, we build inventory.
Many functional addicts blend seamlessly into society, at least until their lives unravel completely. As some have noted, the average hard drug user might look less like a horror film extra and more like your server at Applebee's. The difference often lies in self-maintenance. Those who continue to eat, sleep, hydrate, and practice minimal hygiene can keep the facade intact far longer than the walking skeletons audiences imagine. The ravages of meth are real, but they are not instantaneous. Then there is Skinny Pete, who muddies the waters. To some eyes, he does look the part. Wiry, hollowed out, aged beyond his years. In truth, the illusion owes much to casting. Charles Baker, the actor behind Pete, was pushing 40 when portraying a character written as a 20-something, his natural features already shaped by age and lean physiology. His appearance, then, was less a triumph of makeup than a bit of serendipitous typecasting. Contrast that with Jesse Pinkman himself. Vince Gilligan has admitted regret over one glaring detail: Jesse's flawless teeth.
But you know the business.
Aaron Paul's dental perfection may have preserved Jesse's boyish appeal, but it also undermined realism. Had his smile been appropriately ravaged, audiences might have found him less sympathetic, and Walter White's decision to partner with him less believable. In the delicate balance of storytelling, attractive actors win out over accuracy almost every time. This is hardly unique to Breaking Bad. Even medieval peasants on prestige dramas manage to flash orthodontist-approved smiles.
We're gonna make a lot of money together.
The "but Tuco look fine" objection can be dispatched easily. Tuco had money. Wealth in the world of addiction often buys temporary invisibility, whether through dental work, better nutrition, or simply avoiding the most desperate degradations. The gold grill may well have doubled as camouflage for what lay beneath. Poverty, not just drugs, accelerates physical collapse. There is also a structural consideration.
Lung cancer. Inoperable.
Breaking Bad unfolds over roughly 2 years, not 2 decades. Viewers demanding that Jesse resemble a half-dead husk by season 2 are forgetting the timeline. Addiction may progress swiftly, but not at the speed of narrative convenience. Had Gilligan's story spanned 10 years, the cast's faces might have told a grimmer story. Of course, there's a simpler explanation, one both more obvious and less satisfying.
Shit you cook.
These are actors, not addicts. They are designed to be watchable. Audiences like Jesse because Aaron Paul looks like someone worth liking. An authentic meth mouth would have not only altered perception of the character, but also diminished his commercial appeal. Television traffics in heightened reality, not documentary precision. Still, the series makes a quiet point through its portrayal of Jesse and his friends. They are not hardened gangsters nor archetypal junkies.
Hey, Combo, good to see you. Welcome to my humble abode.
They are suburban kids dabbling in darkness, cosplaying at the criminal underworld until they stumble into depths they cannot manage. The normalcy of their appearance underscores their immaturity and privilege.
How's that?
We sell it safe. All right, we sell it smart.
Comfortable enough to treat meth like a party favor, naive enough to imagine they can control it, and lucky enough to have not yet been consumed by it. Their relatively healthy look is not a mistake, but a narrative choice, to show how ordinary, even likable people can slide into extraordinary ruin. The larger irony, of course, is that while Jesse Pinkman's grin never rots, his soul certainly does. The absence of meth mouth may frustrate realism purists.
And we've got to do something.
But in the end, the show succeeds at something more chilling, reminding viewers that addiction does not always announce itself with scabs and missing teeth.
Run, Mr. Right, run!
Sometimes it looks like your neighbor, your coworker, or your favorite tragic anti-hero. Perfect smile and all. Jesse lost his family. Don't leave this channel out in the cold. Hit subscribe.